All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is Saturday, October 3rd, 2015. And the title of today's webinar is Viper Trade Types Explained in Detail. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading rooms, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we might have, our trading rooms or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we'll get started. Is my sound not breaking up or anything, is it? Aklesh was saying that it's breaking up a little bit. Hopefully not. Sound coming through okay? All good, okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started then. Now, what I'm going to show you today, does everybody remember the old Karate Kid movies? And I don't know if you're kind of an action type, if you've ever watched any of the ninja type movies. Well, this goes really good with today's webinar because Ninja Trader, kind of reminded me of some of those things where, they teach people blindfolded. So that's what we're going to kind of do today is I'm going to teach you blindfolded to see these trades. You think that's possible? I think you're going to be pretty amazed at this because what I want to do right off the bat is I want to show you a chart. And what I purposely did is I took everything off of it except the background, the dynamic trend, and that's it. That's all that's on the chart right here. Okay, Master Gary, yeah. What was his name? Miyagi? Yeah. Anyway, this is a chart, as you can clearly see, that has nothing on it. But what I want to teach you today, if at all possible, is to see the trade without the prices on the chart. Okay? You think we can do that? Because we always talk about mid-band trades. We talk about phantom trades. Now, of course, we can't take a little breakout, obviously, with an HE time or a pit open this way, but what I want to show you is these retrace trades today that can really put some dollars in your brokerage account. Okay, and does everybody in the room today, do you know what a phantom trade is? Because I've been getting some mixed signals about what a phantom truly is. Everybody know what a phantom truly is? That you have to change trends. First time into phantom. Phantom, to give an example, is not just because this is a shadowed area taken along if it goes up above it. Okay, that's not a phantom trade. If you're looking at a short, you're actually looking at a thrust down and a retrace into this phantom. Okay, opposite extreme, exactly, Daryl says. So in other words, let's just look at this right here. All right, first off, we've got a red background. Now we've got a trend change. So what is our first trade on this chart? The very first trade that we're looking for. I'll wait for a show of hands. I'm not going to tell you a lot of answers today because even if this takes longer, I want everybody to understand what we're looking at on these charts. Mid-band, right? Also phantom, of course. Mid-band, first time to mid-band. That's correct. Okay, so even trading blind, don't we see that more than likely these prices are heading down, and then they pop up somewhere in here possibly, and then they come right back down to where? To the mid-band. Okay, so trading blindly, could we see more than likely that we could take a trade right across there with Sniper? Everybody says yes, right? Okay, because what have we done? We've gone to from a magenta mid-band to a rose-colored, which was saying sideways a little bit, and then we went to the lime green one, which is I think it's like chartreuse. I don't remember what it actually is, but then blue, which meant that it was a fresh high for the day. Obviously, this was a fresh high for the session because the session started right here where this line is. So that's why that would be blue. Okay. But first time into that, wouldn't you think that would be a good trade? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep score for a few minutes. You want to? Let's see, Gary, about sniper. If I have it set touch +2, would you not need to touch the line before I get the trade? Exactly, Pat. You wouldn't have to touch the line. What about when the color between the magenta and green is longer period of time? Dan. Well, we're talking about just the way our scripts change colors and when they change colors. Okay, but let's just go ahead and pretend that we're going to get a trade right here. Let's go for 10 ticks. Okay, 10 ticks is all we want. Everybody said they want a trade right here, so we're going to simply, now I can't set sniper up on this because I've got data to the other side of this also, because what I want to show you today is how to see without prices on the chart, at least for the first 15-20 minutes, how to see these trades. Because this is actually forming because the prices are on this chart. I've just simply got them transparented out. Okay, I've got it totally transparent so you can't see the prices. But what I want to show you today is where, you know, rather than getting so involved in seeing the you know, you get involved in, you know, the forest and you're not looking at the individual trees, that type of thing. It's pretty important to be able to see that trade ahead of time. Because if you can see the trade ahead of time, then you're going to beat others to the punch and you're going to already grab some coin before they even get in a trade. Okay, what is the trade, long or short? Dave, let me ask you a question. You tell me. What do you really think that this trade should be? Because this is important to be able to see these. And by the way, I won't ever single anybody out, you know, because the whole idea of Viper is teaching. You know, we're an educational service, and, you know, if somebody doesn't understand us, if they came to our trading room, they probably don't even understand how we call trades even, okay? They would have to come to many webinars to understand it. Maybe you can show a sniper touch +2 trade today. I will show several of those today, Pat. But let's just say that first time in the mid-band, we're going to take a trade. And so what I'm going to do here right now, I'm going to say, okay, we're going to take a trade with 3 contracts. I don't know why that says number instead. Anyway, 3 contracts for 10 ticks. Okay, so that's going to be our first trade. Let me beef that up a little bit. I'll go ahead and put it in yellow too so we can see it nice and clear. All right, so everybody agrees. And Dave, on your question, by the way, this is a long trade. Okay, you're not talking about a breakout trade. You're talking about a green background, the platinum, which is our dynamic trend indicator, changed to the upside. So you're actually looking for a thrust and a pullback. Okay, so let's see if we can get $300 on this first trade. All right, if you go for the full 10 ticks. Now you could go for scalps and all that, but let's just try this and just see if we can do this. All right, so 3 contracts for 10 ticks. Okay, your second trade that we teach in Viper is what? Another mid-band trade, right? Or a line 3 if it happens to be the long side, and a line 5 if it happens to be the short side. Now, does everybody understand that? You're not going to see the candles, Andrew, because what I'm doing is I'm trying to teach everybody the, you remember Miyagi that was on the Karate Kid? What'd they call him? Was it Professor Miyagi? The whole idea of this, I want everybody to be able to see this. Those prices are on that chart, but you can't see them. Mr. Miyagi, okay. Mr. Miyagi was talking to the Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio, and basically he taught him how to do some of those moves that he did blindfolded. And you see a lot of these ninja type movies, and you'll see these people go with these mighty swords and everything, and they're blindfolded and they can still take out their opponent, okay? That's because, you know, they're learning the art of being able to feel it, so to speak, because you should be able to look at that chart and tell where the trade is. Because I can tell you by looking at this chart, you can pretty much tell that there's some trades right along in there. Okay? You can absolutely tell that. Okay? So as traders, can't we be ready to take the trade? Because that's what it does. You know, if you looked at your prices, they probably went down in here somewhere, and then they went back up. They probably went like up in here, right? And then they pull back into there. Okay, and by this, now we're seeing this after the fact, so we wouldn't have normally known that this was long yet. Okay, that this was a long, flattened out area. Okay, because that tells me it's sideways for quite a while without even seeing the prices. Okay, so our first time in the mid band, you got your chopsticks ready, Walter says. All right, let's see if we can get $300 on this trade. Okay, everybody called it out at mid band. So let's just see if we can get $300. I'm going to go ahead and bring up an oil chart with the control center, and we'll go back and look at that trade and see if we can actually get it. And this one will have prices on it. Okay, you should be able to see it coming up. And there it is right there. All right, now we're on September 30th. I just picked that time on the chart, so we got to go back, right? So let's go back. We don't know what it's going to do, but we know by the way we teach, got to go back to 9:30. There's 9:30, and what time of the morning are we? That's about 4 to 7 o'clock in the morning. Let's look. Okay, that's 9:30 right there. We're on the 11 contract like we should be. All right, so with Sniper on the chart, 2 ticks above mid-band we talked about, 95 to 97. Probably would have fired. Okay, if it didn't, it would have sure got this one. Everybody see that? That's $300. Didn't even have to look at the chart to know it because that's exactly the way we teach this trade. Okay? We didn't even have to know it. All right, so we got $300. Now, you have to always remember, though, that we're not talking about mid-band trades until they actually change trends and then come into it first time in. Okay, that's a really good high probability, approximately 80 to 85% probability trade. Okay, now usually if they're going to go lower, they'll more than likely go about no lower than line 3. Okay, Gene, on your question, they move, but they don't move that fast. I mean, we do it all the time in the room. You don't know that it'll crash through. Well, 20% of the time it will, Andrew. But keep in mind, our scripts are pretty good to be able to tell when these trends change. Okay, there's a lot of algorithms built into our scripts that are actually looking at these trend changes, and this knew that this was a trend change right here. Okay, now obviously it was, wasn't it? I mean, it was a super trend change. Okay, so what if you instead were to be the little breakout trader instead? It'll probably work out on this one because it looks like it's going to go to town. But wouldn't you be much better off getting in down here than all the way up here? And by the way, Sniper, if this was to go 2 ticks and then 1 tick and then 0 ticks and then keep heading down, it'll never fire. Okay, if it does 2 ticks and then 1 tick back up, it will fire. Okay, but if for instance, let's say that this thing just headed down, and never stopped at 2 ticks, then it would keep going and it wouldn't fire. Andrew says, I'm always scared to go in with little confirmation. I understand that, but the one thing that you're going to find out with Viper trading systems is you've actually got some confirmations to begin with if you look at this chart. Let me just show you. See these levels right across here? How close that gets to that? Watch when it comes back down and it'll pretty much kiss this area right in through here and oscillate around it even. You just draw your lines on your chart. That's the way we do it in the room, is draw the lines on the charts. But this first time in the mid-band is a trade that a lot of traders just salivate for. Just think if you could ever get to the point where you were so confident of it that you put Well, like one guy in our room puts 10 contracts on. That's $1,000 trade. Let's see. Okay, so we could get entered in and still go against you with Sniper. Well, Pat, on your question, what I'm talking about on Sniper is that Sniper, if it's set at touch +2, okay, let me bring over just a little control panel. If you've got Sniper set on touch, okay, +2, like this, and long on, all right, and you'd have to be at the bottom one, like that, all right, that would actually fire that trade right there, because it would have seen the 2 ticks and then 1 tick up and you're in. We could prove that if we just simply go back to market replay and go to this point, but I want to teach more first. Okay, I want to teach a little bit more so you can see it. And what I wanted to make absolutely clear today is what a phantom is and what a phantom is not. Because if you're going sideways, yes, you can trade the bottom of the phantom long. If you're stair stepping, you don't want to go opposite against these phantoms. You're going to get your tail kicked. Okay? If they're stair stepping up or down, you're not wanting to take the opposite phantom. Because to give an example, what if you would have taken a phantom long, like, well, let's just look at this. In real time, let's say that, for instance, that, well, maybe this had gone here and then flattened out a little bit, and you took a long instead, and it went all the way down to here. That's not what you're doing. Now, if they start going sideways and you see a low goes to mid band, another low that's about the same, well, the next time around, guess what? You can probably buy that at the bottom, okay? Because it hasn't taken out the low yet. Everybody see that? But your true phantom, what you're looking for every single time, is a trend change first and a pullback. Okay, so in other words, if I was to get this trade on a phantom, and I don't know if it ever got it because that looks like a pretty strong move up here, we'll have to look at it. But your phantom's right here. Your phantom is right there or anywhere along in here as it's going up. So you just simply, as it's in real time, you know, let's say that we were looking for a phantom trade. We just simply do this. Or actually, I like to do it about like that. I get close to line 2, between line 2 and line 1, and then you just simply keep doing it with Sniper, keep doing it with Sniper, and pretty soon you'll get a phantom trade. First time into phantom is absolutely always the best one. Now, there is a time that you want to be very careful of phantom, and that is if you're starting to take out these medium trends. Okay, remember yesterday I called one and I said don't do that one, and it worked out that we didn't get a phantom trade. Let's see, can you number the lines for clarity, please? Absolutely. All you got to do to number these lines on the dynamic trend is start with 0. Okay, this is 0 right here. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. 4 is the mid band. 5 is this one. 6 is the green one. 7 and then 8. So you're taking trades on which one? You're taking trades on 7, right? And 1. So line 7 is the top of the phantom. Phantom for a short, right? Only after a trend change. Remember that. And line 1 is the bottom of the phantom for a long. Okay? After only, and I'm going to do this right here, only after spelled different than that, isn't it? Well, my keyboard goes weird sometimes. After a trend change, and I'm typing that in caps, not yelling at anybody, but only after a trend change. Okay, so that's really important to know right there, because you're not going to just look at phantoms and just start taking phantoms just because you see a phantom on the chart. That's not how phantoms work. Wow, that's going to be huge. Let me go back. Okay, everybody sees that, right? Yeah, it's a Saturday for sure, Dan says. Now, don't you mean 7 is the bottom of the Phantom short? Well, it's actually what it is. Line 7 is well, it's actually the bottom line of the Phantom. You're right, but it's the top Phantom that you're shorting, but not when it's trend changed like this. Okay, you're only shorting the Phantom top, like right here, which is line 7, when it's in this type of situation right here, where it's heading down. So in other words, your prices are heading down, and then they come back up to Phantom and roll over. That's your short. Okay, and the opposite when you're long. Now when this changes, you're looking for this Phantom, and you just simply watch the Phantom as it moves. If it doesn't move for a while, then leave your sniper on there. If it moves, just start taking it up the way. Like I say, I usually like to go between the two, and sometimes you won't even get a Phantom or a mid-band. Okay, now then you can take some of those breakout trades that we teach all the time that are those micro type of trades. But how many ticks is your stop loss? Jan, on your question, well, I like to personally use Object Trader with that default stop right there myself. Okay, but the moment that I start getting my scalp target, then I look at the micro trend to protect myself, and I teach that in all the webinars. Okay, now before I go any further, does everybody understand you're not going to fall for buying the bottom of a Phantom, and you're not going to fall for shorting the top of a Phantom? Because if you would have shorted this here, you'd have got your tail kicked big time. You can't think of this just as selling here, buying here. That's not the way it works, and I've heard that taught that way, and it's not the way it works. Let's see. Jeff, put sniper on the line for a Phantom and stopped out. You mentioned you got a scalp on the same trade. It depends how you did it, because if you look at this chart right here, see, that would have gotten a trade. If you would have left the sniper on there, let's just see how many times it would have hit it. There's one trade. There's probably would have missed that one because that's at least 3 ticks. That would have gotten that trade. And it would have gotten that trade right there too. Would it have gotten stopped out? Let's see. Let's see if you got entered at, say, 98, went to 88. That's 10 ticks, so you didn't get stopped out. It was 12 ticks, and that got at least a 10 tick too. So technically, you got 1, 2, 3 trades off of that. Okay, let's see. Roger said it might be helpful to the new ones to let them know that the lines are fibs that, well, actually, amazingly, they're not. They don't follow that exactly, Roger, in any way. Phantom lines like Bollinger or Keltner, no. Have you found certain times are better than others for Phantom? No, actually, Pat, on your question, I found that the Phantom trades work quite well first time into them. Okay, let's just go along and let's see if we can make some more trades. Already, though, we've technically made, say, $600. Let's just say we got 2 of those trades. We got $600. Okay, now after a while, you'll probably get a runner even, won't you? And that third one actually got a runner. Now remember, this area right here is called the money band. We've called that. Haven't called it that in a while, but that little area right there is called the money band. That's when those prices oscillate around that mid band. Okay, and if they break this little mid band area, you can count them to come down to line 2 or line 1. Most of the time you'll see that. But your most overbought or oversold trade is your Phantom. See, so when you put on a mid-band trade, what is your stop, Roger? Well, like I said, I start with the 12, but let me show you exactly how we trade that. Let's just go a bar at a time. Let's just say that you got filled on that sniper line. So you're in, right? You're probably in at about 99. All right, so your stop's at 12 right off the bat, right? But once you get that little scalp, and where is resistance on this chart? It's right there, isn't it? Now that's not a scalp yet. So where's your next resistance on this chart? What's right there? At 4509. See this little area? And then what do? You get 4509. You protect some coin. See, otherwise, if you just take it out, if it just gets, I mean, that would have been only, what, 4 or 5 ticks trade. And then you've got to ride it like we teach any trade which would be this little lightning, okay? And you can clearly see that it's forming lightning like right there, and you can put your stop right underneath there. See, once you get into your scalp, I always look at these little areas of consolidation for scalps. Everybody sees that, right? If not, I'll draw it with lightning. Okay, let's draw it with lightning. Let's draw it with lightning 1. All right, so you've got a high, you've got a low, you've got a higher high. Higher low doesn't count because it never took out the high. This is your low. Does barely take out the high, so you could always put your stop under here if you got in, say, over this way. And then you just keep riding lightning. Same way here. You got a low, you got a high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. And where's your stop now? Right under there. And you just got stopped out. That's how you ride it. So would that have been a good trade? For instance, let's say that a person did 4 contracts and went for 3 at 10, and then the other is a runner, then you would have gotten $300, plus you would have gotten about another maybe $80 on that last trade. Okay. But a lot of our traders then put their sniper, at support. Okay. If it blows through it, it will not take the trade. Watch it come down to it. All right. If you had this set at touch +2, let's watch the bar one at a time. Would not have fired yet. Would not have fired. Would have fired right there because that bar touched within 2 ticks and it ticked back up. So in other words, at that line right there, you would have gotten the trade at 2 ticks above it plus 1 tick to confirm it. Okay. Now I'm going to add some features to Object Trader this next time around that you're going to be able to choose even a 2 tick uptick or a 3 tick uptick if you want. Okay. Which I think will be pretty good because sometimes 1 tick might not be enough, but then again, you can have the tightest stops on the world if you do it that way. But see how Sniper would grab that trade? And how would you trade this trade? Same way, low, high, higher low, barely, higher high, same low. Where's your stop now? You got to wait for the little, it's right here, right? But as soon as this forms up, you'll put your stop, if it forms up. Now I'd put my stop right under here as soon as this closes up. There you go. Now you put it here. See it? You just do it with lightning. And that touched it, and that probably took it out. There you go. You're out. That easy. Okay? Just use the lightning feature to trade. All right, I'm going to show you now. Now we've got, everybody see, before I go forward though, that even without prices on the chart, you can tell where those trades are going. Do you have a larger initial stop than 12? Well, Pat, on your question, we are retracement traders, so personally, I don't like to have a very loose stop. Because if you go with even 2 contracts with a 20 tick stop, that's $400 hit. $400 hit, $400 hit. If you don't get in at the right spot, then you could obviously have some losses there. Now, what I'm trying to do is show you high probability trades that Viper has taught for years and even perfected it over the years because we've added some things like dynamic trend, to give an example. Okay. Everybody remembers when you were with Viper a long time ago, that's a yellow bar probe. We've taught that for 7 years straight, even without dynamic trend on this chart. The way we taught this trade right here, you want to see it? Exactly. I'll take dynamic trend off for just a second. And I'll show you how we taught it. Where's dynamic trend? Why am I missed? There it is. All right, this is the way we taught this trade. Of course, we had some other indicators on the chart too, but I'm not even going to put those on. We're looking for first time yellow bar probe after a trend change. Fired on that bar right there. Okay, bar closes up, we're in. Where's our target? Well, your target's going to be at least right up here, right? Right here first. That little swing, but it's already hit that, so then you go up to here where your little consolidation. See where it did? Up, little shelf there. And where's your target on that? Well, you hit that one. Where's your target on that one? Right up there at 19 or faded a couple of ticks. And then they usually pull back a little bit. Okay, that's a yellow bar probe. We've taught that one for 7 years straight. I love this indicator though, right here, the dynamic trend. Now I'm going to go ahead and put on the other indicators. See, that's CL, so we'll do this template right here. Let's see, was this a long from money band, no short, while background was green from top phantom to begin with? David, you're absolutely correct on that. See, what we're looking at, when you've got a downtrend, okay, you're looking for retracement trades, okay? This is what we call a blue bar probe, a deep probe, okay? How did you trade this trade? It's in our manual, but the way you trade this trade, if you trade it aggressively, is first bar closed to the downside, you fire a short, okay? And do you get a trade? They usually come back and wick it. And do you get a trade? You're down to support. You could take some coin, right? And you could simply write it like we teach in the webinars all the time with lightning. Takes out that little swing, I'd be out. Okay? So anytime this background's like this and the mid-band is this color or the shorter color, you're looking for retrace trades to the downside. Okay? What if you got in? We teach against this, by the way. This is a huge drop. Everybody, you'll see in our manual that we don't take a yellow bar probe when it's dropped 100 ticks. We usually look for deeper. Okay? But if you did take this here at mid-band instead, would you have gotten stopped out 92 to 02? No. Okay? But remember, the way we teach is always you're looking for that first time into mid-band after a trend change, and there it was. Okay? You're looking next at another trade, yellow bar probe at mid-band. We call those in the room live too. Okay, you'll see. I mean, that's actually say 3:26 or so to about 5:20 in the morning. That's an hour and a half later. So could you be ready to take that trade again where that's support? Sure. Okay. Now what's our next trade on this chart? What's our absolute next trade on this chart that we're looking for? We've already taken these, so what are we looking for? Well, you could look for a deeper retrace, which is our line 3 trade, right? Talked about that. Let's see, Andrew, I noticed that you add to positions. Well, you only add to positions, though. Either there's two ways to do it. What that's called is the second bite at the apple. We've taught that for quite a while, too. For instance, let's say that you saw this trade right here. All right, now this has been going sideways a while, but anyway, let's say that you had Sniper sitting right here instead, okay? And you had it set for touch plus 2. Let's see if it would have fired first off. All right, would it have fired? Let's look. If you set it at touch plus 2, you'd be at 96, so 98. It did not fire, okay? Because it went down, and when it upticked, it didn't take out 2 ticks. But anyway, what if it did fire, though? Well, what I normally like to do on a case like that is start with like one contract, and then if this does dip down further, you're going to add one, but only on an uptick bar, which is that bar right there. See it? That's called a red bar deep probe. But that's still a long, okay? Because you'll find that time and time again, when they can't take out resistance and you're starting to get these lower highs, they're going to take out support, fake out the breakout traders. That's what they do, believe me. If you would have boxed this in like some traders trade, like that's a whole area of, hey, if this breaks this, I'm going to short the daylights out of it and put 5 contracts on. Well, what if you got filled right on this bar right here, say at 93, went down to 88, which is 5 ticks, and then it kicked you really hard, okay? This is not a trend change. We're looking for first time in the mid band, first time into line 3. This is line 3. Everybody sees that, right? Absolutely. Now, what if this would have broken down a little bit further? Could we have stopped out, for instance? If it would have stopped us out, that would have been fine, okay? But couldn't we have been looking for a phantom trade if that happened down in here? Sure, because where's your next level of support? It's down here at 76. Phantom's at 77. That could still be a higher low and kiss phantom, and I see it all the time. When these backgrounds change to this green and this mid-band turns blue, you're still trusting that phantom even though it's all the way down there, okay? And we're going to have a trader that'll trade this very soon that it'll just follow phantom for you. And you can turn it on or you can just watch it, you know, print money without you. Okay, but the phantom trade is about 80 to 85% high probability profitable trade. Okay, now anybody that watches this webinar later, that is not a box, by the way. You do not want to take a breakout trade on a box like that. This right here is a true breakout, fake out trade. And the best traders in the world are looking for that as a long, because they know that you've got a trend change. Look at this. We teach this particular trend change right here. What did this do? You got to thrust up first off. You got to retrace. This is your first hint at this, is when you get a higher low and then they start dancing at a higher low than down here. Because it didn't keep doing this, did it? It didn't keep doing that. It thrust up. It gave you a blue bar, deep probe short, and then what did it do? It actually broke. Come up to mid-band even. This is some of those areas we even teach boxing in, which is it a little risky trade? Well, you can box it in and find out because they usually work when they get in these higher lows. But anyway, you knew for a fact, though, that it was a trend change when it did this. High, low, low down here, high, low, higher high. You're looking for the retrace trade. Because is this right here a lower low than that? No. And that's our money band right there. That's where we look for these trades, mid-band and line 3. The opposite would be on a short, you're looking for what? You're looking for mid-band, and this one didn't even get it, by the way, okay? But let me show you what else I'm teaching today. This is what we call a support resistance trade. And you see this all the time. What happens when you break down below here? Well, if a breakout trader takes it, you may luck out and get a little short trade, but the best way to trade that is let it thrust, let it retrace back to where it broke out, like so, short the bar rollover, and then get the trade, okay? Wait for it to come back. That's those beautiful support and resistance trades. And the only time you want to really take those is when it's stair-stepping down or stair-stepping up. You don't take it when it's sideways like this. Now keep in mind, you don't know something's sideways until it's actually nailed a bottom a couple of times, right? Okay, but that's the way good traders do. They draw their lines. And for instance, you know, if you even saw this, you got up at 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever, and you drew this line right here. See how many times it bounced off of it here, took it out a little bit. There's a good phantom trade here, bounced off of it here, bounced off of it here. Draw those lines on the chart and use sniper. Those trades did not get stopped out. Okay. And by the way, if you would have put sniper right here after seeing this, that wouldn't have fired, more than likely. It might have right here, possibly, we'd have to see, but would it have taken you out? I doubt it. Okay. There's some really good trades on these charts. And the whole idea of what I wanted to show today, more than anything though, is I don't want people to be confused about what a phantom trade is. Okay. For instance, if you got in the room at, this is 3:30 in the afternoon, so you wouldn't do it. But what if you had been taught that if it breaks phantom, you just jump in long? No. Or if it was up here and you short it? No. Because look at this little area right here. Is that a long trade? And I've heard some people, trialers and different people say, well, that's the way phantom's taught. And it's not taught by me that way, I can promise you that. Because this is not a phantom long. If you were looking for this trade to ever become a phantom, this is where you would take the trade, would be right up here. Short. That's absolutely a no trade, exactly right. But what are you looking for when it does something like that? Well, you're looking for a kiss of resistance, right? You know, you can get those kisses of resistance and get those rollover trades. A pullback, right? And what I normally do on my charts is I draw these little lines like this. That's like 45, 12, might not have fired that, okay? No big deal, and you might have missed you a decent trade. But where did it do again? It thrust down, it pulled back into resistance and rolled again. You can take it, okay? Let's see, stealth lets you stay in or look for a short. Well, stealth actually will kind of tell you what's going on too. You notice over here when this was going sideways, you still had green stealth, green stealth, green stealth, green stealth, and then all of a sudden you got a red stealth. And your red stealth showed up right in there. So that was kind of telling you that things could possibly be changing, okay? Now, if you took this phantom trade though, let's say that you had your phantom sitting right there, and what are you trying to do? You're trying to get like 10 ticks. Trade worked. See there, that's a phantom trade. This is a phantom trade technically. Anything between line 2 and line 1 is a phantom trade. Okay? So you had one here, one here, one here. Mid-band trade first time in after trend change. Can't beat it. You know, if you were looking at this in real time, what are you seeing right here? How many trades do you see on this chart right now? First time in a mid-band after a trend change. Great trade. Okay, I don't know how long you'd stay in it. We'd have to chart it with lightning, but let's just say that you scalped it. First time into trend change, yellow bar probe, scalp. Okay, first time into phantom after trend change, scalp. Breaks, now you're long again. So you're looking for first time into what? Mid-band. See there? And these constantly work. But you do have to wait for the opportunity to get them, okay? You know, too many people will be doing this along in here. Let's say, for instance, you saw this in the afternoon or in the late morning, and this is about where you saw it. Let's just say that you saw this right here. That's a beautiful phantom trade, by the way. Okay, so now you draw your line there. You've already got a line here. So what do? You can sell the top and buy the bottom, can't you? So would you have gotten that trade? No, because the line's down there. You would have gotten that trade. That's a nice little trade. See what I mean? And so what do you do next? Well, I'd probably be looking about right through here or even here across there for another short if it gets there. There's a mid-band one, by the way, another one. There's another long right there. There's that line I just drew. Didn't even know it was going to go there, but you can kind of tell it would. And did it get a trade? Yes. See what I mean? Just use sniper in the sideways stuff. You don't know it's sideways until you draw a line on the chart and you see a high and a low, and then you just use sniper and for those type of trades, and only scalp it. Because if you woke up and saw this, you know this is a low and this is a high. If you had, let's just pretend this was not 11 o'clock in the morning, it was 11 o'clock at night or 9:30 in the morning. We don't care. It's price action. All right. You see this and you say, okay, well, I've got a high here. And that's let's say you walk in the room and that's what you got. You draw your line, you draw your line. And then you just simply short it, right? When it gets there, you buy your long at the bottom. When it gets there, you short your top again when it gets there, like that, and so on. Let's see, you sure first time into phantom isn't 90%. It might be, Adam. You know, we've had some people actually chart it and, try to tell us what it is. We won't put it like an advertisement, say we've got a 80% absolute, 100%, 80% probability, trade built in. But I can tell you this, if you take that trade right there with a few contracts, every time it changes trends, but only the way it's taught, that's being taught right now. Do not fall for this buying this bottom phantom at long, unless you're in this sideways motion. And you'll be able to tell that when you just simply draw lines on the chart. If it bounces off your line, sure, you can take a trade. Okay? Let me stop for a minute and see if there's any questions at all. We're about 45 minutes in. I'll run this another 30 minutes if you want to. Because what I mainly want everybody to see is our room is probably a little different than most trading rooms out there. You have to come to webinars and you have to know how we trade it. Because, for instance, if we're in a room and we say we're going to take a phantom trade and somebody's in here from another room critiquing us or something like that, they don't even know what that trade is. And then they say, well, how can you duplicate their trades? Well, you got to study the webinars, because this is exactly the way it's taught. That trade. I mean, aren't those absolutely payout trades? Sure they are. That's a deep bar probe. Would we call it in the room? You better bet you we'd call it in the room. So there's a trade right there. There's a trade right there. There's a trade right there. That's a mid-band trade. After a ratchet down, that's a mid-band trade. That's another mid-band trade right at resistance. Put old sniper in there and just scalp it and run it. And how do you know? Well, wait a minute, Gary, you only know that because you're looking at the chart afterwards. Well, you really don't, because here's a scalp. Okay, it comes up and it doesn't take you out if you're riding a runner, because you got in where? At mid-band. And then you're looking at lightning. And where does lightning change directions on this chart? Well, first off, you got a scalp. Lightning went way back up to here again, but then look at it do its little lightning dance. I'll draw it if you don't see it. Lightning, right? Come on. I'm right at an indicator is what the deal is. Do I have my lightning on my chart? Lightning 1, yep. Oh, I know what it is, duh. We're back more than 256 bars. We got to turn lightning on infinite. See, that's 256 bars. We got to go to infinite. Okay, and now it should draw it. Well, should, unless I killed my lightning somehow. Bear with me a second. We'll reload NinjaScript. We'll go back to 928 where that's at, because it'll come all the way over here. Okay, let's see here. Why are you not drawing my lightning, turkey? We out of data? Bear with me a second. Let me let it go forward. It's probably not ticking is what it is. I'll try lightning 2. Well, there's lightning 2. But anyway, I'll just draw lightning 1 so you can see it. Let's say that you got in at the mid-band and you got a scalp. You did not get taken out the way we teach it, because our stop would be right above there, or a close of the bar where you got in even. You could do that. But see how this does this little lightning down like that? Like that? Where does it break it? Well, it breaks it right across there when it closes above it. So you'd probably be out of that trade here, still made some money. Could you have gotten back in on a bar close? Yes. Let's see, is this SW still only available for NinjaTrader? Well, we only do, all of our software is only available for NinjaTrader at this time. That could change in the future. That could change in the future. I'd have to check and see what it would take. I know there's MetaTrader out there and there's Sierra charts and all that kind of stuff. Wish it worked for Sierra too. Sierra's C# also, like Ninja. There's some differences that we'd have to do, but it can be done. But we're going to have to get through the Ninja 8 fiasco first. And when I say that's fiasco is because obviously they're just in beta right now. So you don't go, paying a programmer to fix it exactly like it is now, because guess what? They may change it 5 times before it gets released. Okay? I would think that Ninja would more than likely on this next round that they do on Ninja 8 will be pretty much less CPU intensive like they are. They're really CPU intensive now. Do you trade Phantom with 1 contract as a probe or go in with 3? Well, Andrew, that's up to each individual style. Okay? Because for instance, if you go in with 3 contracts and you get a 12-tick stop out, you're losing $360. But if you trust the trade, then why not? Because just think right here, mid-band, perfect first time after a mid-band, after a trend change, right in the mid-band, and that's a heck of a trade. How would you have traded it? With lightning, just the way we teach it. And I don't know why my lightning 1 is not working. I'm going to try it one more time. I'm going to take it off and put it back on. Let's see here. Maybe it'll work now. Market Replay does that type of thing to this. There's Lightning One. All right, see Lightning One, how would you trade this? Everybody knows how I teach this. How would you trade this trade? You got in, all right? You're looking for the mid-band trade first time after a trend change. You may have even gotten in here because I'm pretty aggressive myself even. That bar might have gotten me in. I probably would have added when it came back to mid-band. But let's just say you took mid-band only. Follow the trade and see how you would stay in it. Lightning is right there. When it's that close like that, I just go ahead and put my stop just above that with a bar close. Now when it starts breaking down, I bring my stop down with Lightning. Breaks down further, breaks that little support there, I'll bring my stop all the way down, which would be right there. Breaks down again. Now when it runs like that, you gotta be real careful because where's it coming back to? If it breaks back up, it's coming all the way back to 64. So you got to watch it and see if you get a little blip and then a rollover like that. And then you can always protect your coin as soon as it stabilizes and starts taking that low out like that. Then you bring your stop down there. And then you got taken out. Okay? Let's see, could you please highlight the phantom trades with a special color? Gene, on your question, well, what I was talking about on phantom trades, let's just go through several of them. You want to? You want to just go through the phantom trades that are on the chart? We're on 928, right now? All right, let's look at it. Mid-band trade works perfectly. Okay, we're looking for, still the background is this color, so we're looking for phantom first time after a trend change. There's another mid-band trade, by the way. And it worked. That's a 10 ticker at least. Everybody sees that, right? Okay. Then we're looking for phantom or line. That's a line 5 trade. That's a deep bar probe. That's another trade. Let's see if that one worked. Yes. All right. And then what are you looking for? You're looking for the phantom. Let's just see if it gets it. Now it dipped down some more, so where's your phantom now? What's all the way up at 44.75? See it? And there's your phantom trade right there. Isn't that cool? That is, well, it's not at 44.75, it's at 44.73. See how it missed it by one tick? So how many trades were on this chart right here? 1, 2 probably, 3 probably, 4. There's another mid-band right at resistance. And there's another one right there. So could you have scalped this or even stayed in? Well, yeah, you could scalp it, add, scalp, add, you know, when it comes back to resistance. But if you don't even do this, you know, when this is sideways like this, although in the room, I'm going to draw on these charts. And if they come back to resistance areas, I will short them and I'll call it. I'll say, okay, if it comes back to resistance, I'm going to short it, you know, on a bar rollover. Okay, if we get a blue bar probe like this has been taught for 7 years. That's a trade right there. We'll call it. Okay, if it doesn't work, then guess what? You get out of it. Okay, see, that trade would have stopped you out. Okay, the yellow bar probe, did it work there? No. Now here's something else I want to show you too, though. Watch for this type of thing to happen. They take out support by many bars. They take out support over here by how many bars? Not what I call many, but that's still a good ratchet down. So I would have definitely taken that trade there and it would have stopped me. What would have made you not have sniper at mid-band before the blue bar probe? You're talking about right here? Well, keep in mind when you get your first yellow bar, you're actually looking for line 5 after that. You could actually put 2 on there though, because you could take, this is still a yellow bar probe, by the way. Even if you wanted to take it right here, that did not stop you out. Okay, this trade here would have stopped you out. Okay, that trade would have definitely stopped you out. But would that trade have gotten it back? Yes. because that's a phantom trade. Okay. Now, how many trades had you taken here too? And we teach against this also. There's 1 yellow, there's 2 yellow, technically 3, 4, 5, 6. That's like a 7th yellow bar probe. And this isn't after it's changed. This is all going sideways. Okay. So this yellow bar probe, and there's another way you can trade this too. And we teach this also. If you're a little bit more conservative trader, draw your lightning on your chart. Okay. And where could you take this trade? Let's draw it from down here. Let's say we're looking for the type of trade that breaks lightning. Okay, we put a sell in right there. It goes up. You watch for lightning again. It goes up. Okay, right there it broke. Could you have taken that trade right there? Sure, plus it was that phantom. So you could do it that way too, because where did it break lightning? It broke lightning right here because it hit phantom and it hit its head. So could you have shorted that little patch right there? Yes. Let's see, one of the traders talks about divergence. He must be using a different chart. Well, Anthony, or Andrew, what Rich is talking about on that, I don't think I've even got platinum on this chart. Let me look. He's talking about the profit, the VIP profit. Yeah, I don't have it on mine right now. I've got the Band-Aid, which is part of the Pro Ultimate 2X, but I don't have his profit on here. But that's what he's talking about. He's got an indicator used for divergence. But what I'm trying to show today is if you just look for these 2 types of trades that we teach, and when it starts stair-stepping up or down, to be able to add and take away, you can't hardly lose money trading. Let's see, do you take most of your initial trades with Sniper, then add-ons? Well, Pat, on your question, you know, the software is actually designed, you know, by Viper to begin with. So, you know, even without all that on the chart, remember where I showed that naked chart with no bars on it? You can still tell where the trades are. So I would just be simply watching phantom like this, and we call it in the room. I mean, you'll hear us. If this was the time we had the room open, we're not open at 11:57, but if we saw this phantom coming up right here, would say phantom trade, oil. Are you going to take that, Rich? I'm going to take it. You see what I mean? And do you get some good trades like that? Now, where do you take the trade off the table? With lightning. You just will follow lightning. If it takes lightning out, which is right there, you're out of the trade. See there? It's really not that difficult. Let's see, I'm having a brain cramp. How do I load Object Trader again? Ken, on your question, to load Object Trader, you just go to Strategy, right-click and go to Strategy, double-click Object Trader. I've got it on replay. We didn't get to replay today, but that's okay. And then click OK. And then that'll put your object. By the way, if you ever notice these texts like this, everybody knows why that does that, right? Because there's no calculation for lightning. It's looking back more than 256 bars. So when I move this chart, it's going, whoa, wait a minute, does not compute. Okay, so you want to put it in infinite if you go back. So many trades, what is the best broker? Well, NinjaTrader's got a real good brokerage, Jan, and I think AMP also. Yes, but what is your entry, bar closer, Sniper, or region? What do you use? A lot of times market even. Because, you know, when I'm showing in the room and everything like that, I'll see a trade coming up like this right here, and I'll just do something like this, 3 or 4 or whatever, and then just click sell because I see the trade happening before my eyes. But if you've got time, of course, Sniper right there would do the trick beautifully. What are our room hours? What time zone? Jim, they're Pacific time. Of course, I'm in Oklahoma, so Central time is what I go by. We open the room at 5:55 Pacific time, a.m. And we usually keep it open till right at 8 a.m. Pacific time to even 8:30. So in other words, Central time, I'm basically 7:55 to 10 to 10:30. Okay. Now, real quick before we wrap, and like I say, I'll stay if you guys want me to. It's not a problem, because if you don't understand anything on this chart, I want you to understand it. Jack, on your question, a bar rollover. Let me show it to you. Let's get rid of lightning. Let's get rid of lightning, and we'll get rid of, all right, I'll get rid of the lines too. Whoop, I put lightning back on, sorry. All right, a bar rollover, Jack, when we call that in the room, that's your bar rollover right there. Okay, let's go through this in detail of how you would trade it. Okay, if you're looking for phantom, you're looking to get within like 3 ticks of phantom or 2, and it rolled over on that bar right there. So you would have gotten filled if you use sniper roughly right through here, and if you waited for the bar close, you would have gotten filled right there. 1 tick under it usually. So there would be your fill right there, and you got your first tick of profit, and of course there's a good scalp. Your scalp area is right down here. See it? Easy to see. Then you got another one right down there because that's a swing. And then you got another one right down here. Got it. Then you got another one down here. And if it takes out your lightning, which is right across here, see it? Lightning, thrust, retrace, thrust. Take it off the table. If it takes your runner out, your runner's out. That's it. That's how you trade it. Okay, let's see. Lightning shows lower highs, lows, and higher highs and lows. Dave H, on your question. Well, lightning actually is simply a swing indicator. And we've got it set on a very micro swing. I can draw it for you, and you'll see it draws exactly like my eyes see it. I was the one that designed lightning. I didn't program it. My programmer programmed it. But that's exactly the way it'll draw right there. And I'll put it on top of it, and you'll see it. This is micro lightning right here. But isn't that still low, high, lower low barely by a tick, lower high? But you don't know this is your swing yet until it takes it out. See, it took out so that's your high and that's your low. It's that easy to trade it. And then of course you can clearly see that it went back up. Where did it go back up to? Went back up to resistance, didn't it? Right across there. And then it goes down. Tell me when this lightning goes the other direction. That's your identified swing. Right there. Because this one didn't take out the low, that's not a swing. That's your swing right there. So if you're going to take this off the table, that's it right there. Okay? All right, let's see. Got object trader loaded. Will all my settings save as default, or do I have to reset every time I load OT? Well, if you save a workspace, Ken, it'll remember. Because if you trade TF, you've got to put it in day mode if you trade your live account. I should say very tight stops on line 1 and 7. Russell, on your question, well, what we normally like to do on a phantom trade, if you want a fairly tight stop, if it gets right at phantom and rolls over, then right off the bat, you just put your stop at that phantom right there. And I usually use exit on close. All right, because at the time, you know, at this very moment right here, we don't know this is still going down, right? We know it's a phantom trade, but we don't put our stop there until it takes out this low. And it did right there. So I would actually bring my stop right across there. And then where do you do it? Well, it went to there, didn't it? And then it takes it out. So you're out of the trade. But would that be a good trade? Well, it comes down to exactly where we said it would do. You know, you just draw your lines on your chart, look left to trade right. Okay? So next week, let me ask you a question. Everybody in here, there's still a bunch of people in here. Look for those phantom trades. Look for those mid-band trades. Don't fall for anything that is not the way it's taught unless you are a very, very good scalper. Would it be possible to use something down this webinar, maybe give us until the end of the day or weekend? Doug, I'll go ahead and put it on the site. right after we get through here. I'll put it on the site. Gary, non-farm payroll is a frantic day. Can you open earlier that day? You know, we did that a few times, and we could possibly do it again. Non-farm payroll, you don't want to touch it until it's at least a minute to 2 minutes into it, because it is frantic when it first comes out. You got to be really careful. I like to put 2 Band-Aids on non-farm payroll, because if you put 2 Band-Aids on it, you're going to see that, well, the true direction of what's going on. Let's see, can you point out on your OT where it shows which account where you're trading SIM or live? Ken, just give me a call on that, because I've only got mine on replay right now, so I can't do that. But the way you do that, you just simply go to OT, click here to remove it, or actually you just have to turn it to false. And then you click this right here and it'll show the different accounts, and then you just click OK on the one you want. Let's see, Gary, I find CL usually trades well around 7 until 11 or 11:30 Eastern Daylight Time. So why not a room for CL during this time? We do have the room for CL during that time, Roger. I call the trades on CL from start to finish of the room every day. And I call them all by myself for the first 30 minutes every single day. Can't get my partners in California up that early. But I've opened that room at 8 o'clock for a long time, 7:55 actually. All right, would the mid-band be considered as a 50% fib? Not necessarily, no. No, it's not a Fibonacci number that's doing this. Now, it'll work out a lot of times where it will be. See, like this thrust right here, you know, that's roughly a little over 50% right there. See, that's why, for instance, right there, somebody fired a trade because they saw 50%. Notice how it came up a little bit more and gave you the better trade. Our mid-band is pretty good. Matter of fact, I think it's awesome. Okay, before we leave, does anybody not understand what a phantom or a mid-band trade is? Because a mid-band trade is always after first time after trend change, and so is phantom. Don't fall for it being taught any other way. If you happen to hear a different way, then don't listen to it, because a phantom trade for a short is always going to be this top phantom. A phantom for a long is always going to be the bottom one. Now, it doesn't mean you can't do some scalping. If you see resistance and you want to scalp it, have at it. Okay? But if you're going to trade phantom the way it's taught and mid-band, you've got to pretty much trade it the way it's taught. And if they don't work out on the trade, you got pretty tight stops. Okay? Wow, I've got my lightning all over the place, don't I? Mid-band seems to be easier to understand, learn them one at a time. Gene, on your question, absolutely. Let's see. Jesus, on your question, can you talk about validated swings and how to enter trades with it? Well, I talked about that Wednesday night. I'll upload that webinar too, because we can't stay literally for hours on end, but that webinar I talked about was pretty good on that. Okay, any final questions? Does everybody, one last time, understand how to watch for that trade? Seems like people do. Always wait for the trend change. Don't fall for this stuff that you're taking phantoms at the bottom, because believe me, if you take phantoms at the bottom, sometimes they'll work and sometimes they'll just blow right through them. Wouldn't this technically have been a phantom the way I've heard sometimes taught? If you went long here, you might have gotten a scalp, but wasn't it better to be short? Because look what that did. It went to resistance after a breakdown, perfectly into it. See it right there? And broke down. And that's what you're looking for on retrace trades, and I didn't get into them as much today. But when you break down, look to the left, and you're always going to see an area of resistance that's more than likely got a number attached to it, okay, because those are stronger. All right. Hope everybody enjoyed this. When we call a phantom trade next week, then understand that that's exactly the way it's going to be traded. What's the difference between Market Replay and Ninja Replay? Well, Ninja Replay, Adam, on your question, you have to have your charts up while the market's actually open. The Market Replay that I use, you can download at any time. Roger says, Gary, I use price action to trade and would be interested in just a trading room to assist in additional confirmation of what I'm seeing, but do not need your software. Well, I mean, Roger, we've got a room. There's people that trade just on our calls alone that might not even have our software. But the only room we plan on in the future is probably going to be the Viper trading room, the one that we run. All right. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Thanks for coming. Be sure to watch for those type of trades because they are amazing trades and you will make money if you trade them that way. I wanted to clear up those things. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.